It's Gabby Shirley, a Lightning reporter, and I say this a lot when it comes to, the people that a lot of our friends and family members and people you meet, like you see somebody on TV and they're like, they seem like a really nice person. How are they? And you're one of the people that I get that question asked a lot, and I say, if you like her on TV, she's even better in person. And I'm just so grateful for our friendship and that you can join me today on the International Women's Day program here on the Recher podcast, closing it out, the closer like you are. We finished on such a high note. What's going on, my friend? How are you?
Hi, Jay. Thank you for that introduction. I am lovely. I am back at Amalie Arena as we await 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Deadline. We were at practice in Brandon at 11:30, so I was there, and now I'm here talking to you.
Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on social media too, so if anything breaks, we'll find out at the same time.
Perfect.
Charlie Coyle just got traded from the Boston Bruins to the Colorado Avalanche. It looks like Casey Mittelstadt going the other way. Casey Mittelstadt was actually involved in the trade, if a lot of people remember. High draft pick going from Buffalo to Colorado for Bowen Byram, and Bowen Byram on the Buffalo defense. We saw him last night at Amalie Arena. And now Casey Mittelstadt on the move again, heading to Boston for Charlie Coyle. Interesting to see what the Bruins do. I know there's been a lot of people wondering if they would trade their captain, Brad Marchand. We'll find out.
Yeah.
As we get closer and closer to the 3 o'clock deadline, about 54 minutes away. And if anything breaks, Gabby and I will have it for you right here on the Recher podcast. We got you. Last night was another one of those names, right? Another one of those games where to hear the ovation, and you were there on the bench, to hear the ovation for Yanni Gord, to see Oliver Bjorkstrand score the game winner, like it was a wild game. It wasn't a game that the coach is going to look like and say, love how we played there, because there were some defensive miscues and what have you. But to be able to end on a high note, to get the 2 points, to win 6-5, to see Oliver and Yanni be welcomed and then celebrated and then successful. I mean, what a great way to start their tenure, and just kind of a real nice, kind of star on, a certain game for this season.
Yeah, Jay, the past 48 hours for me has been a whirlwind. So I can't imagine what those two players have been going through. But yes, I think wonderful ads for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We have some additional players that can score. The Lightning don't really have trouble scoring, but again, it never hurts. And as they make this push to the playoffs, they need extra guys. They need some additional depth up there in their forwards. So great ads. And yes, two guys that seem wonderful. A lot of us know Yanni Gord. IJ did not work here when he was a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I worked at NBC here in Tampa. Right. So I covered him from that standpoint. Was always a great interview. And I've heard nothing but good things. And as he said, I really have, Jay, over the past 4 seasons of myself being with the Lightning, I've heard that he misses Tampa so much. So perhaps that was a bit of a dream that then became a reality for Yanni Gord to come back here. And Oliver Bjorkstrand, I mean, again, just a few conversations with him, Jay, but he has been nothing but wonderful and also seems excited. And yes, you said it, the Tampa Bay Lightning definitely got better as that game went on. First period was really questionable. The second period, again, a little bit better. Jake Gensel ties it at 5. He has a hat trick in just that second period, scoring 3 goals. And then for the two of them to come together, Nikita Kucherov, of course, gets the secondary assist on that game-winning goal. But that was just amazing. And yeah, all the little bits and pieces, Yanni Gord coming back. He loves this place. That ovation that you mentioned. I asked Gage Gonsalves about it today after practice. He was the third skater on that line with the two new guys. And he said, like, he's never heard the arena so loud. Like, just all the little bits and pieces, like, really made for such a special night inside Amalie Arena last night.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about Jake Gensel, the hat trick last night. And I asked John Cooper that in the postgame. I said, that was kind of a classic, like, drag your team into the fight type of performance. And Coop kind of agreed, he didn't all the way, but he's just, I knew he was good, Gab, but I mean, he's just one of those guys where even if other things aren't going well, like, he's not one of those guys where, like, if your team's playing well, then Jake's playing well. Like, I think he just plays well all the time. And even if sometimes he plays a little bit more of a secondary role, and maybe point Kucherov for the guys that are doing all the work, and he'll have 3 assists. But then you see a game like last night where it's like, all right, boys, hop on my back. Not everybody's playing their best. Here's what I got to do. And he's just been such a fantastic impact on this team this year.
Yeah, and Jay, right, him coming in, it was always the hockey mind, the hockey sense. And I've even said this to you before, that as I'm still learning the game, like I wasn't really able to grasp that. And I don't know if I can even verbalize it now, but just seeing how he plays, like you can see that he knows where to be. He knows which plays to make. John Cooper has said, like, not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy, doesn't have the strongest shot, but somehow he manages to put it all together with that hockey mind. And he is just so impactful out there on the ice. And Jay, not to take anything away from him, and I guess we'll see if this proves to be true with Bjorkstrand here with the Lightning, but both of those two players had dads who were hockey coaches. So I feel that kind of trickles down a little bit. So I'm looking to see if there are any similarities between those two.
1,000%. I don't think that's a stretch to say that at all. And ironically enough, you say that we just had Allison Harbaugh on before you, who her dad's the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens and her uncle's the head coach of the LA Chargers. So, and her dad was actually an assistant coach with your Eagles. I know you were an Eagles fan growing up.
Yeah.
So there you go. Update on Victor Hedman. I know he left last night. We did see him walking around yesterday, so it doesn't seem like, usually if a guy's really banged up, you don't see him. He walks out later, but he seemed to be talking to everybody when I walked by him. And I know he didn't skate today. So I think Jeff Halpern said something about Hetty, right?
Yes. So Jay, practice today. Everyone was out there with the exception of the players that competed in the Four Nations face-off, including John Cooper. He was not on the ice today. And that was just like a rest day because those guys played so much over that break that we all had. And the schedule's been so crazy. There are not many days for them to get that rest. So none of them were there. And I'm looking at my X right now to make sure I get it correctly. Jeff Blashill spoke today. He said that there wasn't really an update. There were some evaluations that happened this morning, and they'll know perhaps later on today. We will know tomorrow if he's able to go or not for the game on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to rush him back. You're scratching a guy like Nick Perbix, so if you have to go with those six for a while, I think that makes sense. There's no reason. I think just the big sign is, like, as you get closer to the playoffs, like, if he's got to take a couple of games to get right, take a couple of games, right? You don't want it to turn into a big thing because we know how physical it is in the playoffs. So yeah, you're going to need Victor Hedman. You're going to need your captain to be as close to 100% because once you get to the playoffs, nobody's really 100% anyway. So it's just kind of the nature of the beast. But what have you noticed, Gab? I mean, the last couple of weeks, even before the Four Nations with this team, I mean, they've just been playing so well, and just watching them, it's hard not to think back to a couple of years ago when they won the cup, because defensively, we know that's where, their bread is buttered, and that's where all great teams have to be good at if you're going to be the last team standing. But it just seems like the full complement. They're getting scoring from, down in the bottom six. They're getting great defense last night, notwithstanding, and fantastic goaltending from Andrei Vasilevsky. What is it like being around that group, knowing that it seems like they know, like, hey, we're playing some of our best hockey of the year?
Yeah, Jay, it really seems like the Tampa Bay Lightning, this team, they're clicking on all fronts, all aspects, which is really nice to see. I know I've said this before, but my job is just so much lighter, easier walking into that room when they are hot like they are right now. Everyone's happier. Everyone's in a great mood, willing to chat about this, that, and the other. And I don't know, Jay, I have been spoiled, but I just feel like, yeah, like this is the Tampa Bay Lightning hockey that, like, I've become used to.
Right.
I mentioned this to a coworker even just yesterday. I do interviews. I'm on the team side. So if we're losing by 3 or more goals, or it's more than 3, again, it hasn't happened in a while, which is my point. We do not do an interview. No one wants to talk. We're not going to make the players talk in an intermission. And Jay, I can't remember the last time that I missed an interview because of a score like that. And I feel like last season, not that we were a bad team, but it happened fairly often.
Right.
As you mentioned first in your list of things that the Lightning are doing well, defense. And that's what this entire team is pointing to. We're playing really well defensively. And because we're playing really well defensively, that just spurs our offense. The Lightning haven't had trouble scoring all season long. And they get 2 guys that can put the puck in the back of the net. So again, I'm really excited for what this team is going to show even in the next few games, Jay, because I was already pumped to watch them every single game with the group that we had, and they just got a whole lot better.
Yeah, I can't wait to see, Bjorkstrand and Gordon kind of settling in, and maybe some of these younger guys too getting called back up. Do we see a Geeky? Do we see Isaac Howard get called up after the Michigan State season is done? I still think there's more room to grow here with this team. I'm excited about the end of the season. I think they'll be ready for whoever the kind of the opponent is. It is International Women's Day tomorrow, and we are celebrating today with our good friend Gabby Shirley. I always like to highlight women on this day every single year. You know that, and we go around the country to make sure that they get highlighted. Just talk about, we kind of mentioned this before, but just as kind of a female and I would say a male-dominated industry, but you're seeing more and more ladies in hockey, which is a great thing. But how about from when you first started covering hockey, even with WFLA, to now? And I saw you yesterday, you're talking to our friend Eileen from WFLA and Emily Kaplan. It was just, you guys were laughing and having a good time. Just talk about how that changed and how you've seen, and there's probably more growth that needs to happen, but how much it's grown in your time.
Yeah, Jay, I don't even know. I guess I would say, and I've said this before in so many words, but for me personally, being a woman in sports, I don't really think about it that much because again, this is just coming from me, Jay. If I were to hype it up in my head that I'm walking into this locker room of all NHL players and I'm the only that would just totally throw me. I would be a disaster. So I kind of just, generally speaking, and this is kind of how I go about life in this way, I try to be as prepared as possible. If you're so prepared for kind of any situation, there's a chance you'll do okay. Which gives me the confidence to just go in there and be myself. So I haven't ever really keyed in on it. But yes, you mentioned my friends that are in the industry. I feel proud to see them do what they do and to see them succeeding in this business. And recently, Jay, as I am growing in my role here with the Lightning, I've been hosting a little bit more and trying to participate in different events that are outside of practice games, which is still a little hard for me because I'm a bit paranoid. And I hosted an event yesterday for some of our longtime season ticket members. And the event was not about me. I was the host and we had two great guests and they did all the talking, answered all the questions. And afterwards, I met, give or take, 10 people that just kept coming up to me, women, men, and saying how much of an inspiration I am. And a lot of it was based on inspiration for other females. And sometimes that gets lost on me a little bit, but it's really nice to hear and always a really good reminder. Again, Jay, you know me pretty well. I would never remember that and think okay, I need to be better. I try to carry myself in the best possible way all the time, 100%. But it's just a good reminder and it makes me feel really good.
I'm glad you get that reminder because I feel like sometimes that's part of our friendship. I got to let you know, you are, you're one of those voices that count in our community. You really are. Your opinion carries weight, and you are not just a female. You're a sports voice. You're a person that we all. But with that being said, you are inspiring young girls and young. I had a local hockey player, a high school girl, follow me on Instagram last night, and just looking at her stuff, and she's a huge hockey fan, and I'm just thinking about that, awesome. that young girl is watching this, and she's watching Gabby Shirley, and she's watching these female hockey players, and it's just being around the game. It doesn't have to just be one person that you glean inspiration from. It's everybody, right? Everybody, your interests, they come from so many different facets of your life. So don't ever please forget that. I'm glad that people go up to you and remind you that, because I know you're not like that. I know you're not well, I have to do this. You're just going to be even keel. That's just the way you go. What's been kind of your favorite experience from either the road this year or with the players this year? Because, that's okay. Look at that.
Hold on. I'm in a meeting conference.
You have to stand up. The motion light. There we go.
Yeah, I've been too still for too long. Why aren't I waving my hands around?
That's all good. What's been your favorite moment from just covering the team this year? Whether it's a city you went to or the game, the players you've been around. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard one. because really every day is so new and fun, like different experiences. Okay, I'm not necessarily going to answer your question because I cannot think of something that really stands out, but here's a good example today, Jay. Shout out to our defenseman, JJ Moser. We had practice, just a regular old practice at the practice facility, minus our Four Nations guys, as I mentioned. Right. And I was given a heads up by my boss that his parents were going to be there. He is from Switzerland. Parents are in town. They came in 9:30 this morning. Practice was at 11:30. So much food, Jay. All of this food. They brought Swiss chocolate. His mom was up at 6 a.m. baking loaves of bread, all of these cheeses, because the go-to snack there, bread and cheese or bread and chocolate. And then they were cutting up in the like team meal area, fresh tomatoes with this special seasoning, laying it all out. Like, wait. And I was told from members of the Tampa Bay Lightning staff that have been there for a very long time, they have never witnessed this, but a player's family wanting to just share a little bit of their culture with all of the players, the staff, myself. You know, I'm very inquisitive. I asked a million questions, asked more questions to JJ after. He was laughing at me like, didn't you talk to my mom enough? No, I didn't. So like things like that, Jay, are the things like the behind the scenes things that I'm allowed to share with everyone else. Like, it's just like so touching to me that like JJ Moser, I know you've talked to him, Jay, at length, great guy. Like it makes so much sense that these are his parents.
Right. You know? Yeah. You can kind of tell people, you can kind of tell like how somebody is after you meet their parents. You go, that makes a lot of sense. Because you're right. Because like I'll be in the locker room and I'll just talk to JJ for like 90 seconds. I think it's just a quick thing, whatever. And he'll like sit down next to me and he'll just go off. Usually about soccer, but it's about something. And it's just like, he just keeps going. It's like, I can't walk away. I'm not trying to be rude. And it's not like I don't want to talk to the guy, but you know, you get the players a space, you know, it's just like quick here and there, but JJ Moser is not like that. And he hangs around after every game. He's the last guy to get ready. I'm almost positive that he just like hangs around just so somebody's there to talk to. Like, it's just, I love that guy. And isn't it crazy too, Gab? And you're the perfect person to ask this. I had this discussion the other day. He missed 28 games due to injury, right?
Doesn't look like he did.
I think he played 20. You're right. I think he played in 27 games, then missed 28, and he's been back for, you know, a couple weeks now. But I don't know if I've ever seen a player become a fan favorite that wasn't a, you know, a big time goal scorer or a big time checker, right? It's not like JJ Moser does anything out there that like is going to wow you every single game. He's not a 20 goal scorer as a defenseman. He's not like hitting people like a Lilleberg hits people, but people love this guy. And I don't know whether it's like the interviews that you guys have done with him or it's just, you know, how steady he is on the ice, but I don't know if I've ever seen that type of player become a fan favorite that quickly.
You just said the word that I was going to say as far as his play goes, like steady. And he makes the right play 99.9% of the time. Yes, Jay, and I feel, as you said, not a big time goal scorer, not these big flashy plays. So I feel like we don't even hear from him, even though we talk to him in the room, we don't even hear from him on camera like all that often. But I think when we do, like he's just so he gives you like thoughtful answers, is so great to speak to. Yeah, and I agree, like fan favorite for sure, and I think it's a very good choice.
Yeah, it's funny when I had him on, we were talking, I was like, all right, I need an interview real quick, and then he goes, okay, and he's just so like buttoned up, like, all right, let's do the professional thing really quick, which I loved. I just had Trisha Whitaker on earlier, and we spoke about a lot of the things that she was able to do for Bally and then FanDuel with the Rays players, and I know you know all the things that you do, not just for, you know, whether it's on the FanDuel side, but also for the Lightning with the players and going to their hometowns. And like, how gratifying is that to not just know these players on an athletic level, but also a personal level by going to their hometowns and meeting their families?
It's Jay, it's great. And I don't know if it's something about just like my personality, but like, I really do enjoy meeting new people. And obviously I am just around these players so often. Sorry if you heard that, computer. I'm around these players so often that I'm so interested in seeing where they came from and who raised them, and meeting the siblings that maybe they mentioned, and dad that taught them how to shoot the puck, and just different things like that. So going on the Bolts Beginnings trips is so great. And that's really where we do form those great relationships. Victor Hedman's parents have been in town. I keep running into his dad in the hallways, which is awesome. After Team Canada won the Four Nations face-off, because I met Brandon Hagel's dad, he was sending me some photos of like the post-game like celebrations. Brandon Hagel's sister is here now. So I really enjoy meeting them. And then it's so great when you see them here in Tampa. It's just like catching up with an old friend. And I guess, Jay, like just on a normal human level, I love it. But professionally, like it's helpful too, just to kind of get a glimpse more so of who you've been dealing with and different, oh my gosh, your sister's here and your nephew, like Hudson Hagel's going to be the Thunder kid, like, different cool stories that they are, obviously they always get to say, but usually willing to share.
What's been your favorite city to go to for one of those Bolts Beginnings?
I feel bad picking a spot because I never like finding favorites, but we go to Toronto often and Canada often. So the two that obviously stand out, just with that being said, are Victor Hedman's hometown of Sweden and Erik Chernak in Slovakia.
So tell us that, let's go with Hetty first. Going to Sweden, when they first bring that topic up to you, like, hey, because I'm sure like when you do Bolts Beginnings, you're going to do like, oh, this is cool, Canada. Will we ever go to Sweden? Right? Does that thought process ever go to your mind? Then when that topic gets brought up. I didn't really
believe it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, again, Victor Hedman, like just the best. And he was so gracious, and we just got like the whole tour of like the spots that are special to him. And again, Jay, it was a work trip, but like just above and beyond like all of, I think collectively our group that was working, our expectations. But personally, like I love to travel. So going to see like a place that I don't know if I will ever go to otherwise was so incredible.
So how many people do the Lightning send on trips like that?
Gosh, and I'm trying to think, I should have refreshed my memory, but it's typically myself, Gabe Marte, who is the head of all our video production, Mikey O'Halloran, another videographer, has probably a better title than that. We usually bring a third.
Chowda. His name's Chowda.
Chowda, yes. Chowda. Most of the players do not know that his name is Mikey.
They do such a great job. They kill it.
We have a project manager, sometimes social, sometimes a writer. So there's like a group of 5, 6, 7. We have a contracted drone operator, 8 people. So it's like a crew. It's not 3 of us. It's like, again, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So again, families are opening their homes, and it's not 2 people sitting on the couch. There is multiple cameras, a lot going on, and they've just always been so gracious.
Is there any place that you haven't been to yet that you would like to go?
As far as player visits?
Yeah. Do you think of any of those? Would you want to go to going to Switzerland to see JJ Moser? I feel like that's like the next one, right?
Recently mentioned it to his mom today. I think she was talking about just how they prepare the food, eat the food here, there. And I was like, well, I'll come for dinner. She's like, yeah, sure, come. She was so friendly, so lovely. Busy, Jay. Again, she brought so much food. But yes, I would love to.
Think about this. So they bought all that food here, right? Or did they bring it with them?
So they brought all the chocolate for sure.
Right.
He made the bread this morning, 6 a.m. She was saying, I hope it's good. I don't know his oven. There are some different ingredients, different grains that she had to use. I would imagine the cheese she also bought here, but I don't know. Maybe she transported something because she carried it on the plane. So maybe she transported some sort of cooling mechanism. I'm not sure.
That's so awesome.
But she had to carry it on because she said the suitcase, an actual carry-on suitcase, was too heavy even if she wanted to check it. Because she had massive chocolate bars, at least 100 of them.
Oh, what?
Mm-hmm.
100 chocolate bars?
At least. Yeah. Look, you know what? And I didn't even take these, Jay. They were given to me.
What is that? Weiße?
Okay, this is a white chocolate.
Weiße Schokolade.
You're getting a demonstration, a crunchy one.
Over Maltine.
And this one, JJ's given me before, but this has like cornflakes in it, and this is his favorite.
So when you bring those home, are you the most popular person in the house?
I don't really share that well. No, I'll share. But
I was like, what chocolate? What chocolate? I didn't get chocolate. I didn't get chocolate today. What's so somebody asked you, and we'll finish off on this. Where does Gabby Shirley see herself in 5 or 10 years? What's the ultimate goal? When people ask you that question, because I know how much you love working with the Lightning. What is the goal? Like, is there a goal? Is there a job maybe one day, or a city one day, or something that you want to achieve before your career ends?
Jay, it's such a good question, and I feel that
do you want to host Saturday Night Live or something like that?
That'd be crazy. Well, and you know this better than the majority of people, but for anyone listening who does not, like, I feel, right, Jay, there's only a limited number of team reporter positions in the NHL, obviously. But I think it goes a bit like under the radar, just how great for the outside world, how great this organization is.
Yeah.
And it's come up a lot recently, even just with like my family, who, again, this is my 4th season, like nothing's really new. But my family visited me in Washington, D.C., Jay, for the game that we just had there, and like ran into Coop, ran into some players because they were at our hotel, like again, my mom and dad know, but they just couldn't believe like the relationships and how wonderful and kind everyone was. So this job is great, but I think the organization and the people that I work with and I'm surrounded by is just like what makes it like elite. So the thought of leaving that for some job that seems maybe better or bigger in some way, like you never know who you're going to get as far as coworkers and a boss. And so that like really scares me. So I'm really happy where I am now. Of course, any sort of like national role, maybe even if I could do a little bit of both in the future would be really cool. But I'm really happy where I am right now. And I don't see myself really leaving Florida. I love it here. And my husband has a company here. So
yeah, well, that has a lot to do with it as well. That's good. And I think a lot of people, when we talk about this a lot on the athlete side, right? You're like, oh, the money and this and that. And it's just like, man, there really is something, Gabby, to just like your mental health and the peace and just knowing where you're going to get groceries from, knowing who you're going to call when you need something, working with good people and not having to like tiptoe into a room because you work with people that you kind of like and you kind of don't like. Like you can just walk with your head held high. You know exactly what's going on. There's like, the surprises are what happens on the ice, right? And just dealing with people on day to day, dealing with professional athletes, you just never know what's going to happen. But it's just fun. Like it's fun what we do and who we do it with, right?
And Jay, I would also say too, and I've been saying this to a couple friends recently as well, like Emily Kaplan, we all know her for the work that she does with ESPN. And I saw her last game. It was on their channel and she was so complimentary of what I've been doing. I'm like, what do you mean? And she just thought like, I don't know, had more to offer this season, was just elevating in some way. And I thought about it for a second, Jay, and I told her like, Emily, honestly, in the most positive way and not in the like sitting back and just cooling your heels, but like, I feel really comfortable probably for the first time in my role, which I think is just, again, I hope leading to me to try to be more, do more. Like I said, hosting this event the other day, like before, if you tried to have a 3-minute conversation with me in the hallway, I would have been running because like I missed 3 minutes of reading an article online. Like, so I feel that there's always still a lot of room for me to grow in this position. Perhaps other people, there are different positions where like I've maxed out, like, yeah, I got to find something different, new, harder, a different challenge. But at least right now, like I feel like there's still so much room to grow.
No, I'm with you. I definitely see that with you because I remember early on, you would tell me like if there's anything I need to do or anything I need to fix, please let me know. You were always so humble and so down to earth and just so open to ideas, and you still are today. But you can just tell like the growth. It's inspiring as a colleague, as a friend. Even like yesterday, like when we have like Bjorkstrand or I forgot who it was, and it was just like you didn't feel like you had it. I feel like that's a tough thing when you're in a scrum. Sometimes like you don't no one asked a question, no one in. A lot of times you're the first person to ask a question. And I was even busting Coop's balls about that yesterday. Like, oh, first question. He goes, you don't get the first question, which is, but those are one of those unspoken things, right? When people talk about money and going all these different things, like those little scrums that we have. And it was great yesterday because there were so many TV crews, but it's usually the same 5 or 6 peeps, right? It's like all of us, we kind of know what the cadence is. You get the questions in, Eric gets them in, Eddie gets them in, I get them in, Deandra, like it's just a little pop, 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 and then boom, there's 6 or 7 minutes of content, and we all go do what we got to do. And I think that kind of familiarity and that kind of consistency, I think when you don't have that, you miss it so much. And we do have like a nice like vibe going with the people that are in and around this team, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I love seeing all of you guys, everyone that you just named at the rink. It's so much fun every single day. I really do mean that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun as always. Gabby Shirley, go check her out. Doing yeoman's work for the Lightning as the reporter, FanDuel, wherever the Lightning are, that's where she'll be. No big trades for the Tampa Bay Lightning as of yet. They've got 24 minutes to go. Thank you, my friend. Again, International Women's Day. We ended it on such a high note with a person that I not only consider a colleague, but a dear, dear friend. And you make me so proud when you go out there and you do your thing to the utmost of you crush it all the time. So I'm so happy for you and all of your success. Give my love to the family. And I won't be there tomorrow because I'm working for USF, but we'll see each other at Amalie Arena very, very soon. Okay.
Thank you so much, Jay. Proud of everything you're doing here. And please have me on again. All right.
We always have fun, regardless of where we are. 5-minute chats or 30-minute chats on the podcast. Never a dull moment when Gabby and Jay get together. Thank you, my friend. Have a great weekend.
Bye.